Holy cow, this might be the biggest news of the TCG hobby in general in a long time. Disney themselves are making a TCG game that's set to come out in the later part of 2023. We might actually see samples of the cards as early as next weekend. And yeah, I'm going to be deep diving into everything about the developer, the designer, their past projects with Disney, and what we might be able to see with the Disney TCG, and kind of what that means for the hobby in general. This is pretty insane. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this. And yeah, let's jump on in. News broke yesterday about midday, and here we have Ravensburger. This is the North America Instagram of Ravensburger. They have many branches. Think out in the UK, they're known for like their board games, like a lot of tabletop stuff. And they've worked with Disney in the past with this Villainous series. Now, this is a desktop game that is very fun and explores the Disney universe. People overall really love it, really like the artwork. And of course, you know, being Disney, they have a lot of IPs that they can explore. Here, just the post before the Lorcana, we have the Villainous Star Wars series, which is like a little expansion. So it's very cool to see that they're already exploring their interactions with Disney. But here's the big news. We have Disney Lorcana trading card game. Now, this is apparently the official name of the trading card game, Lorcana. Pretty catchy name, kind of has like a magic-y vibe here. You can see there's different colors on the logos. And they even said in the press release that they're going to be competing with Magic and Pokemon. So maybe this is like the energy or the mana system. Maybe they have different colors like Magic. And there's actually a very strong tie to the designer and Magic the Gathering that is actually taking on this project. So we might actually see some more similarities than a lot of people think. So let's deep dive into it, shall we? Essentially, the only news here we have is that they're excited to announce a new collab with Disney, and they have the link in the bio. So let's go ahead and check out that link. This is where the link takes you, just kind of like their main page. And if you click on a news story, such as Lorcana, it brings you to the Polygon article. There is another article on Games Radar. They're both pretty much the same. We'll go ahead and read this one since that's the one they link directly. And yeah, Disney will launch a new card game to go up against Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. So this is the article that they linked on their page. They want it to be known that they're going up against Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. So pretty big words there, big shoes to fill. But yeah, let's go ahead and highlight some of the big things on this article. Goes on to say Magic and Pokemon trading card game are each $1 billion franchise in its own right. Now, Disney has partnered with a powerful new ally, even though they've already been working together. A 139-year-old game publisher. The new joint effort is called Disney Lorcana, a family-friendly, that's really important here, family-friendly collectible trading card game. First sets are expected later half of 2023. So it is important to note that it's family-friendly. It's going to be more close to Pokemon, I feel like, with maybe some Magic mechanics. Family-friendly just means that, you know, it's not going to be, you know, kind of geared more towards the Magic artwork where it's like demons and stuff like that. You know, Disney is going to be very vanilla. They're going to steer away from that. They're going to, you know, show their characters in the light way. So keep that in mind. But they do mention that it's going to be a collectible trading card game as well. So a lot of Pokemon vibes, you know, light, maybe not so complicated, but mostly collectible. So very interesting to see that. They go on to mention Disney Villainous, a series that began in 2018. This is just a series of board games that they work with Disney for, and got overall pretty solid feedback on those. And apparently Ravensburger wants to take things to the next level. And of course, Pokemon being the #1 franchise in the world as far as like money, you know, Disney is pretty high up there too, but they just see this as an opportunity to finally take that step and join the space properly. We have seen them join the space in the past with like Wizards and Mickey. I think this was like earlier 2000 stuff, but yeah, it just never really took off. Of course, there's some things out there. This is like the pack artwork and the box artwork, but it never really took off like super crazy. Yeah, you can hear stuff out there, but this is almost like a little spin-off project. But it did really shine some light on some of the characters and a lot of different art styles. So even if we get something like this, it'll be awesome. You know, I mean, this is cool artwork. You know, not super vanilla, really thought out design for some of the things here, and would really like to see something like this. Disney also has the Mirrorverse game, which they kind of experimented with more character design. This is a nice game that's also received well feedback. It does a lot of things right, where it takes characters and kind of spices them up a little bit, kind of like Pokemon Unite. It's just a different way to express the characters. This is a great video from FG3000 showing off Mirrorverse in action. You can see here the quality of the character design. You know, you got Oogie Boogie with a shield and a mace, Mike with some mech so he can actually fight. Just a really cool design overall, and they spiced up their characters. I mean, this is what we could see in the TCG game. You know, the limits are unbound. There's so many IPs out there. They could spice things up so crazy. And yeah, it's just going to be very cool to see for sure. The gameplay on this game is actually pretty cool too. So you can see the artistic style, just what they can do when they are given the Disney IP. Just the limits are boundless, and it's just so crazy to think what they could do. One of the reasons I mentioned the Mirrorverse game is because they kind of tinkered with some more modern style art for this Mirrorverse as a TCG. Here we're looking at kind of a sample of Buzz Lightyear. He's kind of like a range, and of course it has some stats and bio. So a lot of flavor text, and maybe we'll see something like this. I wish they got rid of the logo on both sides, but yeah, maybe like more of a proper TCG design will go into this new one. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the assets owned by Disney. I mean, we're not going to deep dive into this too much just because there's so much here. But yeah, I mean, look at this stuff. We got Disney. This is just some of their corporate stuff. But the main things, you know, we got Marvel, Lucasfilm, 20th Century Studios. And those are the main ones. But just think about how much is within that. Once we start getting a setup built like a true TCG, they could have sets based on like Star Wars, and that Star Wars can be broken up into each of the movies. You know, maybe they could do like a New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then go into the new universe. They could also do like spin-off stuff of side stories and side movies or side shows. It's just endless. Like, I know I keep saying that, but just the possibilities are just ridiculous once you start thinking about them. There's also many books they can pull from. Like one of my favorites, Tarkin, tells a story of one of the Empire's most prestigious generals. And yeah, you could even have a Tarkin set where it's like people mixed in with that story. You could have a Maul set where Darth Maul and his backstory with like the Clone Wars and the Rebels and stuff like that. I mean, there's just so much. It's just crazy. So let's go ahead and go back to the article here. We have the CEO of the North America branch of Ravensburger talking about how this is the largest potential that Ravensburger has ever gone after. Largest investment that we have ever done. So yeah, just shows you the backing that they have all the way up to the CEO. Makes sense with Pokemon and Magic being as big as they are. You're basically just printing cardboard and paying ridiculous amounts of prices for that stuff on the market. And yeah, it's just insane. I worry about what that means. Like if Disney is taking up some printers, what does that mean for Wizards and the Pokemon Company? You know, are things going to get backed up again? I don't know. Maybe this is just a fad. Maybe it just really takes off. We will see. But yeah, all things considered, it's going to be interesting. And we will see some cards, it sounds like. The fan-focused event, which is like the, you know, the Club Disney, stuff like that, kicks off on September 9th, next weekend. And we will get the first look at the cards at that expo. So just a week away pretty much. I mean, we're going to be seeing the first images of these cards. Maybe I'll do a video showing off those. We'll see how close they were to those other TCGs. And yeah, we'll go from there. For anyone wanting to catch the expo, they are live streaming a lot of events. This is one of the websites. There's like a couple D23 websites, but on their YouTube channel and stuff like that, they will be streaming a lot of these events. So check it out on September 9th if you're interested in seeing them firsthand. And yeah, let's move on. Next up, I want to head over to Ravensburger's Board Game Geek page and look at some of their past projects. We will be taking a look at Disney Villainous, their Disney-focused project, as well as the developer himself. And yeah, Board Game Geek even has a Lorcana page up that was just put up yesterday. Of course, it's got no votes, no age, but yeah, people have already been putting it on their wish list or want in trade. So yeah, there's no official link or anything. it's really early. We're not going to know much except for the leaks for probably, you know, the next 6 to 12 months. I wouldn't expect anything to really be known until next summer when they're gearing up for the release for next fall or next winter. We don't even know that. So I wouldn't expect too much to be known between, you know, next weekend and next summer, really. Let's take a look at one last thing, their Villainous Disney series. This is still a very good rating, 7.0. Higher rank overall, but there's just so many board games on Board Game Geek, it's like unreal. Very cool tokens here, Maleficent token. Very, very cool tokens. I didn't even know about those. That's pretty cool. Here are some of the expansions. They got all kinds of expansions and forms of the board game. Here we go. This looks like it's one of the expansions. We got some of the card artwork here. Very cool. Here's some more from another expansion. Looks like we got a like color theme between all of them. Very cool stuff. I'm like, man, if they just get anything close to this, it's going to be insane. This looks like to be some type of supporter cards. I apologize if anyone's a big fan of this game. I don't exactly know what they're called, but here are some heroes, and then like Genie might be like a support. Modifies your cards a lot in ways like, you know, Magic kind of does with some instant cards. So that could be spiced into the new TCG. All right, so let's go ahead and touch in on the designer himself. On the Lorcana page, it has Ryan Miller as the designer. I pulled him up here just to get a little idea of his stuff he's worked on in the past. And I tell you what, this is what surprised me the most and really has given me the more like optimistic view of the new TCG. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So if you guys haven't played some of these, trust me, I mean, they are very good. Axis and Allies is an extremely good game. He's worked on that. Betrayal Legacy. There's a game called Betrayal House on the Hill. And there is a lot of legacy games out there where it's meant to be played over different sessions. There's like a Risk Legacy and stuff like that. But Betrayal Legacy is a high rank. It's a 7.7. Very good game. Here it is. This is what I wanted to show you. Yeah, look at this. Magic the Gathering 2013 core set. Designer Ryan Miller. So this is a very solid time for Magic the Gathering, in my opinion. This is when Magic still had the core sets. Magic was very strong at this point in time, and Ryan Miller was in the mix. So yeah, that is pretty insane that he's actually worked on Magic itself, and very promising for the TCG. Now, what could this mean as far as the other TCGs go? Let's do a quick talk about that, shall we? There are two things that really bugged me about Magic and Pokemon. On the Magic side, it's Wizards themselves. They are really making the game kind of like a money grab, and there isn't really much expansion outside the formats that you can actually play in Magic. You're really kind of confined to certain formats. There are certain key cards you essentially have to have if you want to play against or play with certain decks, and that's what really limits Magic. So they've taken that formula and they've made like a bunch of premium products to spice things up, which is cool and all. I mean, they're aiming at reprinting cards and getting cards to be cheaper of that caliber. You know, the cards that are like essential to a Magic collection to play. They almost want to print more of those cards, but instead of just printing one-to-one, they make like, you know, secret layers, which stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't really affect the price because they're more like a premium product in their own. So that's kind of the thing that bugged me about Magic. A lot of my Magic decks I built back in the early 2010s, right around that Magic core set 2013. I actually bought a lot of that product from Ryan Miller, who designed that. And yeah, it's just a perfect time for Magic. I have like 15 Magic decks, all of which originate from that time period that I've modified a little bit with newer cards. But that's what really bugged me with Magic the Gathering. And I think Disney can do a good thing with this, as like starting out fresh, making the deck building more diverse. Sure, I'm sure they're going to have like key cards, but if he uses any of his experience building a Magic set, hopefully that will translate over to add some strategy. There are a couple articles that talk about them wanting to be like more strategic based, but still kind of light. And that's what brings me to Pokemon. So that's where they're going to compete with Pokemon, being like a strategy based, but be more family friendly and like light-hearted play. They just want people to have fun. I think Pokemon does a very good job with that. It's hard for me to take Pokemon seriously because there's a lot of coin flips and there's a lot of, meta decks that are kind of, easy to run and essentially, quick wins, which you have that in Magic too in some of the other formats. But I feel like Magic is a lot more diverse. But Pokemon is very straightforward with the energy system. And what I mostly hate about that is that it comes down with a coin flip a lot of times. A lot of attacks do more damage. A lot of attacks do nothing based off a coin flip. And that's what's always really bugged me with Pokemon. It's almost too simple. And Magic, it's almost like too try-hardy, if that makes sense. One thing, though, about Magic as well, people don't really collect it. Yeah, you have some collectors, of course. The early sets are super collectible, but you don't really see that market fleshed out. You don't see a ton of people talking about collecting Magic. Magic is mostly play-based, where Pokemon is mostly collecting-based. Maybe Disney's new TCG will have a mix between both, but we'll see. I wouldn't count on it taking off super well early on, but we've seen more surprises. They're dumping a lot of stuff into this, and can't wait to see where it goes. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I know I kind of went on long, but just very big news. Hard to cover it all. And let me know what you think in the comments. I'm just excited about the possibilities. Maybe we'll get some more Kingdom Hearts cards. Of course, that's with Square Enix, but I am going to Collecticon, here in a couple weeks, and that's one of my main goals is find some Kingdom Hearts cards. I love those things. Maybe we'll see some new ones. And I really think they'll hit it on the head if they go about it like Wii Sports, kind of have an underlying game, but also have cards that can kind of come into the mix, and you can kind of make expansions from anything you want, and it'll fit right into the game. It's just going to be like the art style that changes. So the possibilities are endless. I wish I could work on this project. I mean, I have so many ideas, and it would just be so cool just to have a hand in that. But yeah, special time we live in, guys. I will do another video here in a couple weeks when they showcase their cards, and we'll see you then. Peace.